Hello, good day everybody. Today is November 1st, 2000. And and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Weaver's Consulting, actually it's the Cosmic Weaver Consulting. And I have a couple announcements to make. The first one is I posted a video last week for the overall energy of just this past week, and unfortunately many of the video, something happened and it got cut out. So you see me doing a reading and then wasn't even that far into the reading and you just see a black screen. I think that's just what happened, and I apologize for the technical problems that I'm having right now. I am experiencing some technical issues, and I had a good camera, but now I'm using my phone, so that's just going to have to do for a while. So that's the first announcement, and again I apologize for that. But the second thing is we are now entering the month of November. This is one of the most important months of the year, I feel, and right off the bat, I want to make a couple of recommendations. While I am a tarot reading and I'm learning astrology, there's two YouTube channel sites that I do recommend. They're quite well known and they attract a great audience. The first one is a video segments by Tanya Gabriel. It's Tanya, Tanya, and Gabriel, Gabrielle. I hope I have that correct. But anyways, this beautiful lady does weekly numerology, astrological interpretations for the upcoming week. So she has weeks uploaded and she calls it the star code for the week, something like this. But anyways, it would be worth watching, especially for the month of November and the first week of November, because she has some very important to say, some things to say that are very, very important. One of the things that she talks about that's going to occur mid-November is some great stellium, some kind of alignment configuration of planets astrologically that has great import and hasn't occurred in some 4,000 years. I would highly recommend that you watch her videos. The last stellium that we had, now I know it's a fancy word and I don't know what it all means yet, but the last stellium we had was the beginning of January, end of December or something like this, and it was a big deal. This stellium was called the Jupiter Capricorn something stellium. This stellium was important because it highlights, this one hasn't occurred in some 1,200 years or something. The last time this stellium occurred in this past January 2020, it didn't happen for some 1,200 years or 1,300 years. In fact, when it did happen the last time, 1,300 years ago, it was right at the time when Martin Luther, the head of the Protestant movement, separated from the Catholic Church and formed their own group. And so then the Catholic Church was losing momentum, power, dominance. So it was a time of people reflecting on what power meant and seeking power within versus having to be dominated over by a greater power that had nothing to do with God, really. And I have a lot of respect for the Catholic religion. I really do. It's an amazing religion. If you really look at the symbologies and the history, it's absolutely amazing. However, there's an aspect of it as an institution that was about control and dominance. If you look back in your history book, between the year 900 AD especially, right around this time, maybe a little bit before, and all the way up to present time, the Catholic Church had a very strong role in dominance in Europe and, even the United States and in other areas of the world. That's just the fact. And, there was no dominionship from a king or queen without it being blessed by the Catholic Church. The Holy Roman Emperor, for example, were individuals that were blessed by the church, and they followed a lineage, and they had to stay within this lineage. You have the House of Anjou, you have different houses that represent nobility. It's all part of the Catholic Church. And so while there's a lot of discussion and debate about whether or not Jesus was married and had kids, it's kind of implicit if you look at this aspect of history, looking at the lineage of nobility through the House of Anjou, for example. It goes all the way to Sarah, who was the daughter of Jesus Christ, and Mary Magdalene. So there's some obvious contradiction here, but yet it's based on facts. So this stellium was huge back in the day. And so we had another one here in January 2020, and what happened? We had the advent of the COVID. Now there's a lot of, and the COVID is now a subject that has become a symbol. And the question is it real or not? And it's been a question. And of course, I personally feel it's real, but it's been manipulated as well. It might have been created in a lab somewhere, taken over to China, and then China gets infected, and then now people come from China and they affect the United States, etc., etc. So anyways, this has become a great symbol. And it is really ultimately about power and how we see ourselves in relationship with other people. And when we interact with other people, how are we being driven by belief systems? Let's look at the mask situation. It's a very good example. Some people feel that wearing masks is important to protect self and others, and that it is selfish to walk into a grocery store not wearing a mask, because really basically you wearing a mask protects other people from you, and other people wearing masks protects you from them, and that's the whole idea behind it. There are people that believe that the COVID isn't real, and wearing a mask is a restriction of freedom, and in that it's just purely a political agenda. And I agree with that too. So I see both sides of it. And instead of just accepting one side and rejecting the other side, I have managed to find some way of balancing the two opposing views. And not knowing every piece of the truth of the situation, but basically the gist in terms of what practical relevance does it have to me? And even inside of that, there are some unanswered questions. So what I've decided to do is simply go about my business, wearing my mask to protect other people, and praying to God that other people wear the masks, protecting me. And someday we're going to know all of the truth behind this COVID-19 situation. But the important thing for me is to simply stay centered, remain calm, not get too involved in debates where I might get a little heated. Okay? I understand that if it is a political agenda, that there are politicians who absolutely insist that you wear your mask, that it really is a violation of privacy. It is a violation of our rights. But we can turn it around and say, well, the fact is, we are not given the entire truth. And so I'm just going to maneuver my way to the middle ground and just say, in case there's some realness behind it, I'm going to wear my mask to protect other people, because I love people. I love myself too. And I'm going to do what I can to remain a free person. And believe me, every day I'm thinking about my own autonomy, my autonomy and power in relationship with other people. And only by loving myself and honoring my feelings, and yet find a way to honor other people's feelings, can I operate in a positive manner day by day by day. And not having all the facts. We will someday have the facts. You know, hindsight is a magical thing. Someday we're really going to know the truth. So, with that, I'm going to talk about the first week of November. Again, if you find that you do like my videos here on the Cosmic Weavers Consulting, would you please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and let me know how you feel about my readings, what I can do to improve for you. And I am working on my technology to make it better, but this will have to do for now. All right. So, first up, beginning November 2nd. It's a quieter week overall compared to last week. I don't know about you, but last week was pretty intense. I mean, mentally, you know. The energy will be picking up again in the following, I would say really by the end of this week, moving into the next week. Okay. What is happening is that Mercury is starting to station. And what this means is Mercury is moving along in the cosmos, and it's getting slower and slower and slower. And it's been in a retrograde, so it's actually retrograde. And then it just comes to a standstill before stationing direct, going forward in motion. And while Mercury is in stationary, what happens is, because Mercury rules the mind, it rules mental energy, faculties, and because it's stationing, we may be feeling very exhausted. I don't know about you, I can be feeling like just tired all the time, and it's frustrating. You know, it's easier to make mistakes, you know, accounting mistakes. So, oops, I forgot to pick up this at the grocery store, or just getting motivated to complete day-to-day responsibilities. That's part of the stationary Mercury. But November 2nd is officially the day when it begins, just begins to go in direct motion in Libra at 25 degrees. Okay, so November 3rd is the true day that it starts to go forward. Okay, November 3rd, which is Tuesday, while we are feeling tired mentally and physically, this is an important day for family, in harmonious relationships with friends, family, business relationships. Feelings and intellect are seeking balance. Now, this is where I get to say, this is why I'm wearing Isis. I am wearing a necklace that has a medallion, or whatever you want to call this piece, and it's the goddess Isis. And with that, I'll explain what this means in a minute. I have the earring of Horus. You see the eye of Horus. I'm going to talk a little bit about this right now. There's another, like I was saying, there's a stellium coming up that hasn't occurred in some 4,000 years. Now, this balancing of the feminine and the masculine, this balancing in paradigms and shifts in paradigms from negativity to positivity, sort of reorienting our psyche, looking into our psyche. What is it that we need to purge? What paradigms do we need to let go of? What new paradigms do we need to adopt? And we're getting there. We may not seem like it, but we are getting there. Okay? So, and I'm looking here at my notes. Okay, there's something about this Venus in Queen Cox to Uranus. We may be feeling more free. So Uranus has to do with freedom in relationships. And that Venus is in there. So we want relationship, but we want freedom. We want equality. We want partnerships with people on all levels and all sectors of life. That's about equality. It's not about dominance. It's not about one person having control over another person. Okay? It really is about staying in balance. So we may be in one moment in a relationship more receptive and more feminine. And then we may turn our attention around to someone else, and it calls us to take a little bit more charge. So we're more in our masculine. But we're shifting all the time according to the moment and what it demands of our attention. So, but it's not about getting stuck in one place, either being masculine or feminine. I'm usually the receptive one. Someone's going to tell me what to do, and I'm just going to follow directions. No, that's not the way. That's not what we're doing anymore. What we're doing is, okay, I need information, so I'm going to sort of breathe, center myself, receive the information, so that I can go into a better action, because I have information, and I've processed it, and I've integrated it. And now I'm going to act in a more appropriate fashion than I would have if I didn't have information. So it really is about shifting the power paradigm. As we are moving into the Aquarian age, it is now time to let go of the victim and victimizer paradigm, to let go of that illusion. And frankly, it's always been an illusion, but one that we've had to live by because of dominance and control, whether it's the Catholic Church, the government, any religious institution, what have you. Now it's more about operating on an individual level and be able to put something on the table to share with others on a more equality basis, whether it's in the home with family, whether it's in a business partnership, whether it's on a unit in a hospital and you have to work with nurses and doctors. I mean, if a nurse has 25 plus years experience working as a nurse, she knows just almost as much as a doctor does. I mean, that's why in the last 15 years, they have a new career path that people with master's degrees can take, and it's called physician's assistant. And they do a lot of the same things that doctors do, and they make just almost as much money. So there's an example. So that line between doctor, I tell you what to do, nurse, receptive, I'm going to take instructions and then follow through. It's getting a little more complex and ebb and flow. It's getting more creative, as an i.e. the advent of a physician's assistant position in the last 15 years. That is a new position. There are a lot of people that have been nurses that are now physician's assistant, because now they can incorporate everything they've learned in that doctor-nurse relationship and acquire new knowledge and now become both the doctor and the nurse. And they're very powerful people. They're very instrumental. They help a lot of people. In some ways, sometimes a physician's assistant has more advantages than a general physician in some situations. So that's an example. So wherever we are in our lives, this paradigm, this example that I just gave you, is going to be reflected more and more and more in other positions, in relationship, business relationship, family relationships. It's in a household, for example, it's not going to be the matter of one household, head of household. This ebb and flow, it goes back and forth between man and woman or partners. You take the ball for a while. You know more about this, so you need to tell me what to do here so I can learn. Okay? And another situation is the other partners that's in control, taking charge. Just for that situation, experience. But really the ball goes back and forth. There's harmony. There's peace. There's far greater possibilities for resolutions to problems, issues that wouldn't otherwise exist as solutions if we are rigidly holding into positions of power. That makes sense. So, times are changing, and this month, November, it's a very significant month. Wednesday, November 4th, Venus is in Queen Cox with Uranus, like I was saying. So, and it's about freedom in relationships. November 5th, on Thursday, communication is highlighted today with Libra, Venus, and now Uranus on the front. So this means that we need to take more time in communications, go a little bit slower, mean what we say, think before we say anything. Because as we're coming into this, we're about in the Scorpio season, we may be more sensitive. We're going to be looking at the shadow side of everything, which we should be doing, because everything has a light side and everything has a shadow side. Everything. Positive and negative. Yeah, there is no darkness without the light. There is no light without the darkness. But as with Scorpio energy, we tend to look at the hidden things in everything. And that's a good thing. But as a result, we may be more sensitive. We need to be more careful not to react and to just take our time communicating with other people. Okay. And we may be feeling frustrated anyways, because like I said, with that Mercury just starting to go forward, man, we're physically and mentally exhausted. It's frustrating. November 5th as well, there may be some likelihood of a sudden unexpected events occurring. I know this is around election time, and it could get maybe a little bit scary out there. I hope it doesn't. But this election is a big deal. So just be aware. November 6th on Friday, Venus is in Libra, Queen Cox with Taurus. Now this is a really nice aspect. So while we're mentally frustrated and tired, it is a day of abundance, love for family, and positive self-expression. The Venus in Taurus is kind of a weird dynamic. Mercury in Libra is moving forward finally with square to Saturn. This means negotiation might not fare so well. So better put off any kind of big negotiations that are coming up. Any plans on deals, you maybe want to delay it for about a few days. November 7th, Saturday, is a 13 universal number, which means when you add up the month 10 plus 13 plus 2020, we get the universal 13. It's a very feminine number. But with that, we have Sun in Scorpio and Mars going direct. It's a very powerful connection. It is causing us to really go inside and to look at our fears, to look at the shadow side of everything, including ourselves. We may have a tendency to project all these things that we're afraid of. And so we need to slow it down and take a breath and adjust our beliefs and to find a way to keep the peace, because this is only going to be a few days. This is just Scorpio season, everybody. And so emails, phone calls might be delayed. It's just not a great day for communication. That is on November 7th, on Saturday. You might as well, and maybe just as well on November 8th. On that day, Sun is 150 degrees from Mars retrograde. So again, we want to watch out for any argumentativeness in relationships. We're feeling very intuitive, maybe very telepathic and psychic. So someone may walk up to you and say, I'm just doing just fine. It's so good to see you. And somehow you might be feeling like, I somehow feel like something's off. Like, I don't think you're feeling so great about seeing me. And, you know, and you just maybe just kind of have to just ride it. You know, when I'm telling, yeah, I'm doing fine. Good to see you too. You know, just take it easy, okay? Because it's really easy to have messed up communications. It's a time for patience. Just be patient. We're going to get through this, okay? So I want to highlight some things about our work so far with these intense energies that have been going on for some time now. We are working on our power issues. We are shifting our belief systems. We're losing and shedding these paradigms that have to do with dominance and control, being victimized by dominance and control, getting out of that paradigm of victim energy. It's not easy to do during this time, this COVID times, especially if you're living out on the West Coast and you've been affected by fires. It's not easy to do. And I just bless you and pray for you. I know it's hard. It's just awful, these fires. But we are going to come out doing better than we did, even where we were. We're not going to see that right away. But a year from now, we might see some blessings in disguise, you know. So it is about gaining greater clarity. So as we tend to look at the shadow side of everything, it really is about, you know, acquiring clarity. And some of that is looking at ourselves and looking at our own psyche and our own unconscious and looking at, why are we projecting that on somebody else? Or why is that person projecting onto me? And really just peacefully and quietly, and like that wise hermit, you know, take some time to just reflect, or write in a journal, talk in a mirror. I mean, really, you know, anything you got to do to come to some calm place within yourself. Okay, so having said all that, now it's time to do a tarot reading. I've just consecrated my cards. I have a lot to say about November yet, but I will wait till my next segment when I do the overall energy for the entire month of November. But right now, you know, for our first week of November, I am just going to do the overall energy for the first week. I don't know why my phone just did that, but it just turned off and I caught it. So I turned it back on. We're back on video. I'm still shuffling the cards. Gonna get a good shuffle. I'm asking my spirit guides, my angels, to help me with this tarot reading. Make sure my phone is still working fine. Okay, it is still recording. for the overall week on November 2nd to November 8th. So we need to know what's going to happen. Okay, right there. All right. So they say that's shuffled. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the cards. All right, here we go. All right. The first card we get is the Wheel of Fortune. That's the significator. I think overall it's going to be a better week in terms of manifesting resources. I suspect that it has to do with the Venus influence. I think that we are going to be able to what I really feel in this card with the Wheel of Fortune is that there's a lot of divine guidance, and be able to somehow our attention is going to be directed to look at a certain thing and whatever's hidden in our individual circumstances, so that if we have to make a choice about something, that we're able to make it with more information. And this then will help clarify what it is that we need to let go of, or what is this negative paradigm that we operate by, and hey, maybe I don't need that anymore. But having that divine assistance really helps a lot. So that's what I see on one level, and then on another level what I see is resources coming in, like some financial resources, which in itself is going to be a kind of revelation to your personal situation, to understand something better. Okay, so, all right, yeah, I worry. There's a lot of worry in the air, a lot of worry. For one thing, so it's the Five of Discs. And as you see, it says worry at the bottom. And with the election coming up, I'm kind of worried about who's going to be president. And that's kind of a big deal. But again, with real concerns, real worries, and legitimate worries, especially the legitimate ones, we need to be careful not to get too, heated up about anything. Just take it nice and easy. And not hurry about anything. Okay, my phone is doing something weird. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on it. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of reflecting, a lot of looking within. You got the High Priestess, and that's what it's about. And it's really about using intuition, going within, and I've had to turn the camera back on. So anyway, relying on your intuition. It's that Scorpion energy, that ability to be very intuitive, to look underneath things, hidden things. And you see she's in a kind of meditative state. And she's almost like looking at things that's not so tangible. So the November astrology is pretty right on. In the past, we have the King of Discs. So we've been through a lot. And for every challenge we've been faced with, we've been able to, on a very practical level, move beyond and survive it, and maybe do a little better than just surviving when we're okay, with all the changes that have been going on over the last few weeks and months, that we've been successful with meeting these challenges. And that's what I see with the King, the Knight of Discs. Okay, so in the immediate future, you've got the Magus, the Magician. And this particular Magician card, my deck has 3 of them. And it appears to be in the area of health and communication. So communication is a very big deal. We're going to have a lot of communications that are very healing. So if I feel like this is about health and it's about communications, to me that's what the saying is. It may not seem like it in the beginning of November, but as we approach the end of November, maybe even the end of the week, conversations that have been difficult in the past get a little bit easier, or conversations that we have and are continuing to have with significant others, we're starting to feel like we're making some headways. We're having some conversations with an outcome of feeling more resolved, more healed, with greater clarity, more understanding in relationships, understanding better what your partner needs, your partner understanding better what you need, and coming forth with an action plan to meet those needs better and feeling more nurtured and cared for, and some of these may be business relationships, okay, but the result is you feel like it's not about power and control. It's about everybody just being on the same page. Because everybody brings something different to the table. We're all just going to work together. Honor each other's uniqueness and each other's gifts. Okay, so, yeah. I think overall, this is very good. I mean, in spite of it's been kind of heavy because of the Mercury stationing and finally kind of just starting to go forward, in spite of feeling tired, frustrated. We're still making headways. Okay, so we have a gain card. So whatever we're doing on a day-to-day basis with projects, plans, deals, our jobs, our relationships, acquiring money to keep up with our family and whatever the family needs, we're doing it. We're successful. We don't know how we're doing it sometimes, but we're doing it. Okay, so you have here in the position of your environment, Queen of Discs. And what I really get from this card and what it really represents is it's a very nurturing feminine energy, and on a very practical level, coming up with resources that you may not have previously thought about, or taking $1 and really stretching it, or using skills that you didn't think you had to make something work, to take care of your families, and do whatever you have to do to keep plugging along and moving forward and getting taken care of or taking care of others, and looking back and being proud of yourself, this card is what we can hope or what we fear for November, and it's an oppression card. And I don't know about you, but I've been feeling really kind of oppressed listening to all this stuff about the stimulus package deal, going back and forth between Pelosi and whatever that guy's name is, and all this stuff. Okay, so my phone cut out again. So very quickly here, we have the oppression card. So what we really fear is oppression. You know, with rising COVID cases, etc., is causing a lot of oppressive energy. You know, some states are doing a lockdown again, oppression. So, and it's oppressive in that sense. And some of the perceptions we might be having in the process of shifting paradigms, we might be feeling oppressive. I know my last job I was in, I felt really oppressed. And I had to leave. And I felt oppressed even after that, until I really went inside and really looked at some of these issues that I need to look at. You know, where I really basically had to broaden my vision. I really had to learn to operate on more a self-confidence level, relying on myself, really relying on my guides, the universe, to provide, that I don't have to make my living within an institution of rules, these kinds of rules, you know, under these parameters. I mean, I was working for the state, and it has a set of extra restrictions just because it's the state, for example. And I really had to shift my way of thinking about how I felt about myself and how I might have set myself in situations because I wasn't feeling good about myself, setting others to have the sort of the same perceptions about me that I was having. But once I was able to remove myself from the environment, sort of define my own rules of who I am without relying and seeking approval, I was better off. I'm better off, you know, much freer. And so in this process of transiting, it was an oppressive process. It wasn't easy, you know. So the outcome, anyways, we have truce. The Four of Swords. And I think the biggest aspect to this card is about coming to truce within, you know, dealing. So you have opposite views about things. You know, it's either this or that. And maybe it isn't. It's either this or that. That there's some way of incorporating both sides, coming to a place of centeredness, you know, just balancing yourself in these different perspectives, having a new paradigm, emerging as a new self as we walk into the new Aquarian age in January. We're getting ready. So I hope you like this channel. If you like this reading, I mean, if you like it, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate if you have any comments to share, any questions that I might be able to answer for you. If you are interested in booking a reading with me, go to www.theweaverstarot.com. Now, I've had people give me messages on my phone saying, hi, see what I will do. Well, I'm not going to do anything if I don't know the person. But what you can do is say, hi, I'm Charlie, and I would like a reading. Or how much do you charge for that? And how do you do this? Or any questions you might have. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful to you. And until next time, namaste. Thank you.